You know, that sneaky feeling whispering you're not quite as competent as people think? Yep, we've all been there. But why does this happen? And more importantly, how can we shake off this unwelcome guest? Stick around because, by the end of our chat, not only will you have the tools to kick these doubts to the curb, but I'll also share a bonus tip. Trust me, it's a perspective you don't want to miss. Ready? Let's get the ball rolling. 1. The roots of imposter syndrome. So ever wonder why some of us feel like we're just faking it, even when everyone else thinks we're nailing it? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of what's behind this. A big part of it comes from setting the bar way too high for ourselves. It's like we're aiming to hit a moving target, blindfolded. And when we don't meet these sky-high expectations, hello, imposter syndrome. But it's not just about our own internal pressure. The way we grew up plays a role too. Picture this. Growing up being told you're the next big thing, a prodigy. That's a lot of pressure, right? It sets up this idea that you've always got to be top of your game. And the moment you're not, doubts creep in. All these factors stir up a storm of doubt in our heads. But guess what? Recognizing where these feelings come from is step 1 to tackling them. It's about understanding that it's okay not to have all the answers, and that messing up doesn't mean you're a fraud. It means you're human, learning, and growing. 2. The cycle of doubt and overcompensation. You know that feeling when you're not sure if you're doing enough, so you decide to go all out, pushing yourself to the max? It sounds like a good plan, but it can lead us into a sneaky trap known as the cycle of doubt and overcompensation. It's like when you're not feeling confident in a game, so you try harder than ever, only to end up making mistakes because you're overthinking every move. Suddenly, you're convinced you're not cut out for this, and the cycle starts all over again. This cycle can make us feel like we're always one step behind, trying to prove ourselves. It's exhausting, right? We end up putting in double the effort to cover up these feelings of being a fraud, which only burns us out, and, ironically, makes us more prone to slipping up. It's a bit like running on a treadmill that's going too fast. No matter how hard you run, you're not going anywhere, and you're just getting more tired. The crazy part is, everyone around us might be applauding, thinking we're acing it, but inside, we're just waiting for someone to pull back the curtain and reveal our secret. But here's a little secret for you. Everyone feels this way at some point. It's totally normal. Breaking out of this cycle starts with giving ourselves a break, acknowledging that it's okay not to be perfect and that making mistakes is part of the process. It's about learning to pace ourselves and realizing that genuine growth comes from steady, sustainable effort, not from sprinting till we drop. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint, so take it one step at a time. 3. The impact of social media and professional environments. Have you ever scrolled through your feed and felt like everyone else has it all figured out? They're nailing big projects, living their dream life, and there you are, questioning if you've even got your basics right. This comparison game is a fast track to feeling like you're not measuring up, fueling that imposter syndrome. And it's not just social media. The professional world isn't helping either. There's always that pressure to outdo yourself and everyone around you. It's like being in a race where the finish line keeps moving further away. You pull off one project, and before you can even take a breath, there's another challenge waiting, each one seeming to scream, "Prove you deserve to be here." This constant need to prove ourselves can make us feel like frauds waiting to be found out. We start thinking that our successes are just flukes, and sooner or later, everyone's going to realize we don't belong. It's exhausting, isn't it? But what if we're all just figuring things out as we go? What if everyone's just as worried about being found out as you are? The truth is, no one has all the answers, and that's okay. Recognizing that can lift a huge weight off our shoulders. It's about taking a step back and understanding that our worth isn't defined by likes, shares, or even promotions. It's about the journey, the learning, and the growing. So next time you're scrolling or stressing over that next big project, remember, you're not alone. We're all in this together, figuring it out one step at a time. If this chat on battling imposter syndrome is hitting the mark for you, why not give a quick like and share your thoughts below? And hey, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Your engagement really drives this community forward, helping us all tackle these tough subjects. 4. Strategies to combat imposter syndrome. Now let's focus on what we can actually do about this whole imposter syndrome thing. First off, acknowledging that it's a real feeling is a huge step. It's like spotting a shadow in the room, and instead of freaking out, turning on the light to see it's just a pile of clothes. Recognizing these feelings gives us power over them, not the other way around. One of the best strategies is talking about it. Yes, it sounds simple, but hear me out. Sharing your feelings with friends or colleagues can be a game changer. It's pretty eye-opening to find out that others feel the same way. Suddenly, you're not alone in this. Plus, talking it out can help put things in perspective and break down the cycle of endless self-doubt. Another big move is to celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Finished a task? Give yourself a pat on the back. Nailed a presentation? Do a little victory dance. It's about recognizing your own efforts and accomplishments, reminding yourself that you're here because you worked for it, not because of some lucky fluke. And let's not forget about reframing failure. Instead of seeing it as evidence of being an imposter, view it as part of the learning process. Every misstep is a chance to grow and improve. It's about being persistent and learning from the bumps along the way. By embracing these strategies, we can start to dismantle imposter syndrome bit by bit. It's about building a foundation of self-acceptance and understanding that we're all works in progress, and that's perfectly okay. 5. Embracing vulnerability and seeking support. Getting real for a moment, let's talk about vulnerability. Yep, that word might make some of us squirm, but it's actually one of our best tools against feeling like an imposter. Embracing vulnerability isn't about broadcasting every fear or failure to the world. It's about being honest with ourselves and maybe a few trusted folks around us. It's saying, hey, I don't have all the answers, and that's okay. Seeking support plays a huge part in this, too. It's easy to think we've got to tackle everything solo, like we're lone warriors facing an army of doubts. But guess what? There's strength in numbers. Whether it's friends, family, or even a professional, finding someone to talk to can lighten the load. It's like sharing the weight of a heavy backpack on a long hike. Suddenly, the journey feels a bit more doable. This is about connection, about finding common ground with others who've been there too. When we open up, we often find that our experiences aren't as unique as we thought. This can be incredibly freeing. It's a reminder that we're not alone in our struggles, and that in itself can chip away at those imposter feelings. 6. The role of self-reflection and self-compassion. Now let's discuss something that might just be the secret sauce to battling imposter syndrome. Self-reflection sounds like one of those things that's easier said than done, and you're not wrong. But here's the deal. Taking a moment to really think about our experiences, the good and the bad, can be super enlightening. It's about asking ourselves, why do I feel like an imposter? And what specific situations trigger these feelings? This isn't about being self-critical, but about understanding ourselves better. Then there's self-compassion. This is where we give ourselves a break, treating ourselves with the same kindness we'd show a good friend. Messed up? It's okay. Feeling overwhelmed? That's totally normal. This part is crucial because imposter syndrome thrives on self-criticism. By being kinder to ourselves, we can break the cycle. Think of it as being your own cheerleader, reminding yourself of your achievements and the hurdles you've overcome. Self-compassion also means recognizing that perfection is a myth. We're all works in progress, and that's beautiful. It's what makes us human. So the next time you catch yourself falling down the imposter syndrome rabbit hole, take a step back, reflect on your journey, acknowledge your efforts, and show yourself some love. Before we wrap this up, I've got a bonus tip for you that could really change the game. Being real with yourself and others might sound like something from a motivational poster, but it's actually a solid way to tackle imposter syndrome. When you're authentic, you're not trying to fit into a mold or live up to someone else's expectations. You're just being you, and that's where your real power lies. Authenticity means embracing your unique mix of strengths and weaknesses and knowing that's enough. It's about showing up as your true self, not an imposter version you think the world wants to see. This isn't about revealing every thought or feeling, but choosing not to hide behind a mask of perfection. When you start being authentic, you might just find that the pressure to prove yourself fades away. You'll likely connect with people more genuinely too, because they can see the real you. So let's ditch the masks and be proud of who we are, quirks and all. That's when we start to really conquer imposter syndrome, by realizing that being our true selves is the most powerful thing of all. We've tackled imposter syndrome. Now what's next? Discover the psychological tricks to stay calm under pressure. Or find out the signs that you're more influential than you realize. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more.